comedians on the planet. My friend and yours, Jeff Foxworthy. Now don't sit on your microphone because that would be too much fun. Jeff, I'm going to ask you the question because I know everybody else will.
Oh. Huh.
Have you taken up gymnastics or something? What's with the arm?
I tried to do a flip on my dirt bike, and I did not even come close to pulling that off.
So is it just a brace or is it something more serious?
I tore a tendon in my thumb, and I say dirt bike because when people go, how'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I literally woke up in the middle of the night one night and it was killing me. And so for 6 months I kind of did this in therapy and nothing worked. And so I had surgery about 3 weeks ago, and I had a big old club on it, and my doctor was like, I had to wear a sling, and he was like texting me going, are you wearing the sling? I know you're not wearing the sling. He would go, take your picture right now, and I would have to. And then I got on stage the first night. I never realized when I was on stage how much I used my hands and my arms, and I had the sling, and I felt like I was just bound by rope. And so like 10 minutes in the show, I said, I gotta get rid of the sling, because everybody films you now, and I'm like, don't post this on Instagram or my doctor's gonna fuss at me. And so, so Friday I got the big club off, and now I'm just down to, I gotta do this for 3 weeks. And
well, bless your heart. Well, I hope you're doing well.
It doesn't hurt, I'm good.
Now, just so we know, are you on pain meds or anything like that we should know about?
No, I'm scared to death of pain meds.
I know, listen, I know.
I told them, don't even give them to me. I won't do them, so I'll just hurt.
Hey, listen, we were talking backstage, and you said you don't really do a lot of cruises?
No, well, my wife and I are going to Italy in May. We're doing like an Italy cruise.
Are you working, or is it just for leisure?
No, I'm just doing it.
Nice.
But no, I mean, I don't do a lot of cruise. I have a farm, so if I'm not working, I'm on my farm. Literally, that's what I do. When I'm not working, I'm on a tractor, or I got a bulldozer, and I'm tearing stuff up left and right. In fact, I ran into Trisha Yearwood not long ago, and she said that Garth went and bought an old trophy, and he just beat it to death with a golf club, and they have it on their farm for whoever tears something up, tears a tractor up or a bulldozer or something, gets the trophy. And she said Garth has it 9/10 of the time because he wants to ride those things, but he doesn't really know what he's doing.
No, seriously. Do you do this as well? I mean, not to drop names or anything, but yeah, Trisha has said that Garth just goes out on the farm. I mean, he just gets bored when he's not on tour, so he'll just dig up a tree.
Oh yeah, you push over a tree with a bulldozer. If they would give every guy over 50 like a tractor and a bush hog or a bulldozer, there would be no red convertibles and girlfriends. It's very satisfying. So.
Okay, so this is all about getting to know you better. So can I just be nosy?
Sure.
So how big is your farm?
It's about 3,000 acres. But I'm not like Leno. I don't buy cars. I don't buy when I was a kid, my dad had the farm that he grew up on, and so that's all I ever wanted was a farm. And so that's the only thing that I ever went in debt over, because I always thought comedy was going to go away. And so my wife and I would just save. And then I saw this piece of property about an hour south of the airport in Atlanta, and I'm like, oh, I want to have that. And my wife said, you deserve that, go get it. And so that's where we are if I'm not working.
Okay, so technically, can we call you a farmer? I mean, I know you can tear stuff up with your bulldozers.
I'm actually good. I'm actually pretty good. Yeah,
you can grow stuff.
We plant about 400 acres a year
of
corn, soybeans, a little bit of alfalfa.
And you're out there doing that?
Yes. Oh yes.
I have known you for 30 years, and I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. In fact, my wife laughs at me because she thinks when we get to the farm that's the relaxed time, and I get up at like 6 o'clock and I'm gone all day working, and she's like, you're supposed to be relaxing, and I am relaxing. I never mind working. I've always enjoyed working.
I have an idea for you for relaxing. Now, you may already know this because you kind of come in and out of Nashville and you know all the people that I know. I have recently found out, you guys, and this is not a joke, that a lot of the guys in country music are getting pedicures.
What?
It's not a joke. Brothers Osborne, I shouldn't be dropping names. I should not be
Pedicures?
telling.
No.
They get pedicure.
No, I
Because
won't be
they
doing
like
that.
they like to go on stage in flip-flops.
No, I won't be doing that either.
Well, your friend and mine, Charlie Chase, gets pedicures.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me one bit. Charlie, your man card, bring it back, all right?
So you wouldn't? Oh,
No, I would
I'm
not do it.
so
I would never do a pedicure.
There's a spa on board.
No, I'm not
Should
doing
we?
it.
Should we make an appointment?
No.
I think we should make an appointment.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'm not frou-frou. I'm not frou-frou at all. So,
Is there any? Because there are like man products out now. There are special moist. He's laughing at me. He thinks I'm making this up.
no, I believe you.
There
I
are
just am not going to do it. So.
Moisturizers and things like that. So then, how do you relax? Because we all know you are a hard organ dude of all the different things I just told them that you're involved in. I mean, just every entertainment platform on earth, basically. So how do you just disengage from everything?
Well,
Besides the farm.
You know, I'm like the luckiest guy in the world because I have a girlfriend that I've been married to for 34 years.
You scared me
so,
just for a second.
No. And so, in fact, this past week, the A&E, the biography show, so I did one like 20 years ago, and they went away for like a decade. Well, they're bringing it back. So this past week, I'm the first one on the new wave of biography. So they filmed me for like 3 days. And so one day they were filming it. They brought like the blue collar guys in, and we're sitting around a table talking, and Ron was saying how much he still enjoyed hanging out with comedians, like just hanging out, because that's how you learn to be a comedian. If you want to be an actor, you go to acting school. If you want to be a musician, you go to music school. There is no comedy school. You learn to be a comedian by hanging out with comics. And I was saying as I was listening to him that there's part of me that really misses the hanging out with comedians part. But it was like as soon as my first child was born, I totally quit hanging out. And it was like I would do a show for the whole time my daughters were growing up. I would rent a plane, and like if I had a show in St. Louis on Friday, I would fly out at 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. I'd go do the show. I'd sign everything, take every picture, but I said as soon as the show's over, I'm getting back on the plane. And I would fly home, and then I would go to their soccer games or basketball games, or I'd drive them to school. I wouldn't get home till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wow.
But for 15, 20 years of my life, that was my life. And then I would fly out the next day and go to Minneapolis and do the same thing. So I missed the whole hanging out thing, but it gave me 100 days more a year with my kids. I took my kids to school every year, and so now my kids are grown, and we have a fabulous relationship, and they call and text me every day, and I wouldn't have had that had I been hanging out or had I not gone home. And so it's like choosing
Isn't that great?
what is your priority.
Mm-hmm. Well, now are your two daughters private, or can you tell us about them?
I can tell you about them.
Okay.
They're different as night and day. My oldest daughter, Jordan, graduated college in 3 years, then went and got her master's. She's one of the smartest human beings you will ever meet. She's always been an old soul, and she works full-time in a homeless shelter. So this brilliant child is never going to make a dime in her life, but she's fabulous at it. She's just always had a heart for the underdog in life. And so she literally, in Atlanta, works at a homeless shelter, taking women and their children off the streets and finding housing for them. And my youngest one, Jules, just got married last year. And Jules just got married, and to a guy she's dated since the 8th grade. Yeah, she went to Auburn, he went to DePaul, and we said, well, they'll never make it through that because he's in Chicago, and they did. And and he's fabulous. They just bring out the absolute best in each other, and they both live within 20 minutes of us, and life is great.
Well, I know where the daughter who works with the homeless got her heart for that, because every Tuesday there's something special that you do that I think you should tell everybody about, because I think it's sweet, and I think it's what we're on earth to do.
I do too. Forever I had done things with kids with cancer. I would go to Camp Sunshine in Atlanta. My wife and I were chairman of the Duke Children's Hospital, all the fundraising things that they did, which they're like St. Jude's. They don't turn anybody away based on ability to pay. And I grew up an underdog. I mean, we had a dirt yard, so I've always just had a heart for an underdog. And one day I met a guy that worked at the homeless shelter, and I'm ashamed to say now, I mean, I was kind of like, me dealing with homeless people was rolling the window down at the red light and here's $2 and please go away. And he invited me down to lunch, and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, he wants something. Everybody wants, he wants me to do a concert and give them the money, or he wants me to do their commercials. And so he said, no, I just want to have lunch. Well, the first guy I met was a 21-year-old kid, and I'm sitting there, if I'm going to be transparent, I was thinking, get a job, dude. You're 21 years old, you're healthy, what the hell are you doing here? And I said, what's your story, Jason? And he said, well, it was me and my mom and dad and my brother. And he said, when I was 11, my mom killed herself. And then the next year, my brother killed himself. And then it was just me and my dad. In my second year of college, my dad killed himself. And he said, I just got to the point I couldn't hurt anymore, so I started smoking crack. And I was looking at him going, hell, I would have started smoking crack too. And so when you abuse alcohol or you abuse drugs, you can't work, you're not a dependable employee, and even if you have a family, you borrow from them to the point of they go, I can't do this anymore, and that's how you end up on the street. Almost every guy or woman I've met that's on the street, something bad happened to them, something traumatic, and they were numbing, the pain. And so I went down there for 2 or 3 weeks, and he said, all right, you're always asking me, what do you want me to do? He said, I figured out what I want you to do. He said, these guys have never had a small group Bible study. Will you lead it? And I said, okay, there's 6.5 million people in Atlanta, and you can't find anybody more qualified to do this than me. But all I did, and I tell people this when it comes to serving, all I did was say yes. I wasn't the most qualified. I just said, yeah, I'll do it.
But you were saved, right, when you were
Oh yeah, I was in a small group for years, and so it started with me and 12 guys, and to get them to come, I had to go buy Chick-fil-A, and I would buy Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits, and that would get them to come. And it started with me and 12 guys, and now this is our 10th year of doing it, and we've got 28 group leaders, and it's 350 homeless guys every Tuesday morning. So, and one of the guys that was in my first group, in fact, when I landed in Fort Lauderdale, he called me on the phone. He's like, hey, I'm having a problem. I'm trying to figure out how to manage my money on this. But he's got his own place, his own car, his own job. And so he's been sober for 10 years. And so, he's one of my dearest friends in life. And so what I found with serving, it's especially people like this, it's more than providing a meal and a bed. They needed somebody to do life with them, to walk them through life. And so with so many of the guys that I deal with, it's like, if you can ever heal that hurt from whatever they were missing, whether it was not having a dad or what, but if you can ever heal that hurt, you give them a chance of getting their life back. And so that's kind of what we talk about on Tuesday mornings, is all this love and acceptance that you craved for whatever reason your earthly parents couldn't do for you. You got a daddy that is there every day and loves you that way. And so that's my Tuesday.
Oh, that's an awesome story. And I've always heard that when you serve, a lot of times you get as much or more out of it than the people you are serving. In what ways is this a gift to you, what you do every Tuesday?
Well, it's very much keeps me grounded. I sit there and look and go, but for the grace of God, I was born into that family. And if it was the case, I would be sitting there. So, humility's never been a problem with me. In fact, in doing this thing for biography, my manager is the guy that became my best friend in the 5th grade. So it's like I never lost. I just did a thing for an army base in North Carolina, and the guy picked me up, and as we were driving back, he said, "You did this 30 years ago," and you and I rode in the car, and I didn't remember. It had been 30 years ago. He said, "You're exactly the same."
Oh.
And I said, "That's the biggest compliment you can give me, because that's what I don't want to lose that. I want to be that same guy."
And so this is my biggest question to you, because I've just known you for so long, and you are the same guy, and you're so much fun. But you and I both know, we've been at the parties, we've been backstage, and it is so easy to spiral into a little bit of drugs, a little bit of alcohol, and then all of a sudden you got girlfriends, and your life just becomes all of these things that you shouldn't be doing. So what kept you so grounded that you never spiraled into that?
I had a dad that was married 6 times and had 400 affairs in between. My mom was marriage number 1. So I saw the damage of what that lifestyle did, and I think you can learn by good example, or you can learn by bad example. And I say this because I love my dad, but he was a horrible example of how to be a dad. And so, and no matter when your parent leaves, no matter what the adults say, as a kid, you feel like I wasn't worth sticking around for. That's what you feel. And so I just kind of decided at 10 years old, my kids were never going to feel that. So even though I have a job that takes me on the road, I found a way, thank you, Lord, that I was successful enough to fly back home at night. But I'm like, okay, my wife is never going to feel like that. And so it's like when you're on the road, even when we were doing Blue Collar, and we'd get to the end of the show and the guys would go, "Hey, come on and have a beer." I don't think a beer sends you to hell. I don't care if you have a beer. But I saw from watching my dad, hey, if you have 1 beer, maybe you have 2, and if you have 2, maybe you have 5, and then somebody really pretty sits next to you and they smell good, and the next thing you know, you've screwed up all this thing that you've worked for. And so I was always like, you know what, I'm just going to go to the room and order room service and call my wife. Not that I think I'm better than you. It's just, it was like, be wise. Don't put yourself in these environments where that my dad did. He'd always go to the bar after work. Next thing you know, he's got a girlfriend. And so I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be wise.
Man, your life is so fascinating, because you have huge doses of reality that you have lived with from a little guy.
Yeah.
And now here you are. I know in April you're going to be on stage in Nashville at Grand Ole Opry with your buddy Jay Leno.
Yeah.
That's huge. And you were like a little kid. Did you? You just got to do the Leonard Skinner channel, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Seriously,
did. Yeah.
I thought he was going to pee his pants. He was so. I
might have just a little bit, not a lot, just a little.
Well, and I understand the feeling. I'm a huge Skinner fan, so when I got to meet the guys and tell them how much I appreciated their music through the years, it was wild. So how is it for you getting to meet people in your position that you just love and admire?
It's crazy. It's like I said, I grew up in Hateville, Georgia, just a little town. So never in my wildest dreams did I think that would be the case. And I've gotten to meet so many people, and because I've gotten to do different things. I mean, it's mostly country music, but also, have done a bunch of TV shows. So I think I met 5 presidents. I've been, I'll tell you a funny story. This is how weird I am. My farm manager, Glenn Garner, one of my dearest friends in the world, the first time I got invited to dinner at the White House, it was with George W. Bush. And so I got to the White House, and I asked them in there, I said, can I make a phone call? And they were like, not in here. That, I guess terrorist activity, not in here. And I said, can I go outside? And the guy goes, yeah, you can go on the porch and make one. So I step outside, and I got the Secret Service with me. And I called Glenn, and I'm on the porch, and he answered the phone. He goes, is everything okay? I go, yeah, it's great. Why? He goes, aren't you having dinner at the White House? And I said, yeah, but I just wanted to see if you got the corn in the ground before it rained. And he's like, yeah, the corn's in the ground. Go back in the White House, you idiot. And so now he tells everybody, this idiot walked outside on the porch at the White House. But that's just me. I mean, so, you know what I find? Because there's a lot of heroes. Maybe you're this way. If they're not kind to people, they're not my hero anymore.
Yes, it's true. But, and tell me if this is the same with you, I rarely meet someone who is not kind.
Most of them are kind. But if I ever meet somebody and they're not kind, you're off my list.
Yep.
Because, look, I have made a fabulous living doing something I would have done for free. I would have done it for free. That's how much I enjoy it. And anybody in entertainment, anybody you're going to see this week, nobody, I don't think, got into the business thinking, I'm going to make it. They got into business because they love to make music. And I love to make people laugh. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would make it. I figured I'd have to go back with my hat in my hand and ask for my job back, but I wanted to give it a shot. And so we're the luckiest people in the world. I feel like I've never had a job.
Well, but now here's the thing I want to ask you, because it has just been such a thrill to watch you grow from, one entertainment medium to another. From the stage to a tour, and then another door would open for a TV show, and then a door opened for a movie. So which of these opportunities that was allotted to you, when you first found out you were going to get the chance to do it, you thought, you've got to be kidding. They want me to do that?
A sitcom. I think most people get into stand-up comedy because stand-up is a great springboard to TV and movies. And you see a lot of people that start out as stand-ups, then they get TV or they get movies, and they never do stand-up comedy again. So back in the early 90s, I got somebody said, do you want a sitcom? And I'm like, yeah, I guess, And I quickly found I didn't like doing that because it was 7 in the morning till midnight, and I wasn't getting to see my family, which just made me miserable. And so I tried to act like I was sad when they canceled it. I was like, oh, okay. That was probably, but I never got into it to be in TV or movies. I got into it because I love stand-up, and I've loved doing different things creatively. But if you put a gun to my head and said you can't do but one, I wouldn't even have to think about it. It's standing on stage with a live audience, doing a show.
So, and I'm trying to think, and I've thought about this for 2 days, and I don't have the answer, but you might. What is the most redneck thing that we could do on this cruise? Because I think we should all do it, whatever it is. And whatever you say, we'll do, so be careful.
I mean, I could see somebody with their fishing pole trolling off the back of it as you're... That'd be pretty good, yeah. The catch of the day would actually be the catch of the day, so... Yeah, spit cups, yeah, you could do that. And your husband could have one too, right? So, I know you're a guy, but it just made the joke better that way. So, yeah, right. No, let's not do that. I could do what? Oh, you could moon everybody at the dock. That would be huge redneck right there. We'd make the news for that.
Oh my gosh, the coordinators, the Star Vista people are going to have a cow if we line up, all of us.
Okay, but it would be funny. It would be funny.
And just and then that big wah, that horn. When you hear that,
wah, wah. See, that's the fun thing about being a comedian is you get to kind of still be that kid in the 8th grade going, wouldn't it be funny if we blank?
I know, and this is what's so cool about about you, there is a part of you that is just never going to grow up. That's what we love about you.
I call it winning the war against maturity.
Yeah.
And it's and it's funny because I am totally mature most of the time with my being a dad and things like that.
Where it counts, yes.
Where it counts. But yeah, there is that little thing. Like I love to bow hunt. I love to fish, and so. Yesterday, because I finished taping the thing, me and my buddy Glenn jumped in the truck. I got up at 4 a.m. and we drove to Florida and looked for arrowheads all day. And then I drove back last night and then caught a plane this morning. So, yeah, it's kind of that little boy is still there.
Okay, so we know that today and tomorrow you're going to be on this stage and entertaining us. So I have a serious question about that. Because, and you may have been asked this a lot, but this world has become so PC. In a way it's good, but in a way it goes too far. Has this phenomenon changed how you entertain? Or do you just not care? What anybody thinks?
It's like I don't do any Twitter, I don't do any social media, and I think when I look at people in show business that do it, it's like playing with a hand grenade, because you don't even mean something bad and somebody twists it and now you're in trouble for it. So I don't do any of that stuff. And I've gotten to the point, like in the last year, I say this on stage, but I will say it here, I try to remember this every night as I'm walking on stage, and I tell myself, remember, everybody you're going to look at tonight is going through some kind of a struggle. It might be financial, it might be emotional, it might be physical. Somebody you love may have done something stupid, but every person in this room is going through a struggle, and everybody you see on stage is going through a struggle. And I don't think laughter makes the struggle go away, but I think it is like the release valve that keeps the boiler from exploding. And so I tell people, okay, for the next 90 minutes, we're going to forget about the struggle, and we're just going to laugh, and we're going to clean everything out, and then we'll go deal with it again when we leave. And so, but as far as peace, I don't worry about it, because I'm not a mean person. But it's like, we live in a world now where nobody talks to each other. We just yell at each other. And that just makes me sad, because I think even politically, you could be each pole, but I bet if you sat people down and talked to them about what really mattered in life, I bet we would agree on 85% of the stuff. But we don't focus on the 85%, we focus on the 15% that we disagree with. And we're kind of in a world where, you'll hear people screaming for tolerance, and you hear people screaming for diversity, and then when somebody doesn't vote or think exactly like they think, they want to crucify them. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's neither tolerant or diverse. And so I think we got to get back to just talking to each other, and because the answer to most things, you find it somewhere in the middle, and there's no middle anymore.
I think you make a hugely important point, because I just know with some of my friends and relatives, it just seems like everybody, and maybe even with me too, but I hope not, I'll try not to be this way, but it's like we all just are trying to find something to be mad about. So I'm just wondering if in this crazy world, do you feel like what you do gives you even more responsibility? I know you're having fun when you're up here on this stage, but do you consider it a responsibility to break that tension and bring us all together and make us feel like one?
Yes, and I am having fun, but I learned that a long time ago. It's like when I first started working with kids with cancer, and I didn't think about where it went after the stage. And then I would walk into a kid's room and there would be one of my CDs, or there would be a DVD, and I was like, oh my gosh, when I'm not here, this is the little release valve for this 14-year-old kid that needs to laugh because they're going through chemo every day. And it hit me a long time ago that, because I really think God gifts all of us with different talents. Some people have a gift for nursing. Some people have a gift for teaching. Some people have a gift for cooking. Some people have a gift for cleaning. This was just the gift that I was given. But it was like, with that, it was like, okay, you've got to be a good steward of this. You know, you've got to use it in the right way. If it brings you any kind of notoriety, you got to use that in the right way. And so that's really what I've tried to do, was be a good steward of the gift that I was given.
You know, and I hope you take this as a compliment, because I mean it this way. You could have been a damn good preacher. Don't you think? I think you could, and maybe you do. Maybe you are doing some preaching when you're on stage.
Well, I think you do. You know, what is the old thing? Preach the gospel, and when necessary, use words. And so, it's like I would hope people would just look at the way I live my life and go, well, there's something different about that guy, maybe. So.
Okay, so last question. In about an hour or so, we're all going to come back into this room and watch you do your thing on stage. So between now and then, how do you get yourself in your mindset?
Yeah, there is no, I wish, because people always want to see behind the curtain at Oz. And people will say to me, do you practice in front of the mirror? I'm like, no, I don't practice. This is, you know what, Lorian, I was very lucky because I learned early in life what worked for me comedy-wise. And that was, I just trusted, if I think something, or my wife says something, or my family does something, I'm going to trust other people are thinking and saying and doing the same things. I'm going to trust that. So if you go back and listen to a record or watch a special, it's kind of a snapshot of what was going on in my life that year. And so, somebody asked me not long ago, because after 35 years of doing this, you're thinking I've been asked everything. They said, what do you think about when you walk on stage? And I said, I really just think I'm about to go talk to my friends. Aww. And that's what I think. So.
Well, this has been such an honor to get to know your heart and your soul, because we've known you for so many years as the guy that makes us laugh. And now we know you're also the guy that we love and respect.
Oh,
so thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. I'm honored to be here. Thank y'all for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a little break. We'll let Mr. Foxworthy go back and find his mindset.
Yes, or maybe have a cup of coffee like an old guy, right? So.
Well, yeah. They just delivered a big platter of cookies into your dressing room.
If there's cookies, I'll see y'all in a little
Bye-bye,
bit.
Jeff.
I am a cookie monster. Thank you. God bless y'all.
I'm Tracy Lawrence, and I'd like to personally invite you to join me and many of my good friends on board the Country Music Cruise 2020.
Come join our super